The 309th AMARG stores the world's largest collection of military aircraft, here in the Arizona desert.
I like to call this the ugliest plane out here, the YC-14. It was an aircraft that never went into production.
800 mechanics work nonstop, reclaiming critical parts and regenerating aircraft so they can go back into service. That's Colonel Barnard. She's served 25 years as a U.S. Air Force aircraft maintenance officer.
As a commander here, I am in charge of the whole operation. The assets stored here are worth somewhere between $34 and $35 billion.
She took us inside this massive facility to see how these military planes get a second chance at life. With nearly 2,000 football fields worth of open desert, there was plenty of space. Arizona has the perfect weather for storing these assets. It's hot, there's little rainfall, no humidity, and the soil?
It's as hard as concrete.
So planes won't sink.
The dryness as well as the lack of acidity in the soil prevent corrosion on the assets.
Aircraft come here from the Department of Defense, military, other government agencies, and foreign allies.
We have about 3,100 airplanes. The planes are mostly military. We have over 80 different types of airplanes here. The LC-130s have skis along with their landing gear so they can land down in Antarctica and support the National Science Foundation all across that continent.
Some aircraft will be here for weeks before they're called back into service. Other aircraft can be here for 50 years, similar to this A4 Skyhawk. Each plane goes through a preservation process before it's put in the desert. They're defueled, then oil is pumped through the engine to preserve it.
The black material that we have on here is the base layer that seals up the aircraft. And then later, as you can see the rest of the aircraft around here, the coats on top are white, and those white coats will reflect the heat, so it better preserves the assets all on the inside of the aircraft.
But not every plane just sits around collecting dust. U.S. military units around the world can request specific parts off these planes.
An aircraft has so many thousands of parts. We are that assurance that there's a part available when the supply system main sources don't get it. We send anywhere from 4,000 to 7,000 parts out every year to the tune of a few $1 million each week worth of supply parts. Scott and James here are removing the engines from the back of this T-38 as a reclamation effort because these have been requested to go back into service. So once the crews reclaim the parts out in the desert and bring them into the end of this building, they get washed, they get non-destructive inspection, and they're going to pack and ship these right out the door as fast as we can.
But sometimes, instead of being used for parts, an entire plane will be regenerated, meaning they'll pull it out of the desert and wash it down.
We have to remove all the coatings that are used to preserve the aircraft out in the desert.
After getting a nice shower, it's fixed up.